Okay, yep, great. Looks like we're recording. So again, welcome everyone. This is the Jupyter community call for December 2020. I'm Isabella. I forgot to introduce myself last time, so hello. I'm a designer in the community, so I will be asking lots of questions probably when people present things, but I think that's the best part. For anyone who doesn't know, community calls are a place to celebrate what people are doing in the ecosystem, what they're doing anywhere with Jupyter, what they're building, what they're working with, just so we can get to know each other and know more about what people are doing around here. I'm actually going to share my screen really quick so we can do, yeah, share that. There we go. I have cute little slides just to remind me to tell you important things here. Ta-da, this is us meeting, the Jovians. And, okay, first off, community calls are recorded. I brought this up right before, but just so you know, we do this so we can share it with people who the meeting time might not work as well. It's also important to know that we do have a code of conduct, right? We're part of the Jupyter community, so we do follow this Jupyter code of conduct. I'm also accountable to that if that's ever relevant. And if you haven't been here before, I also wanted to give you a rundown for how this works. Basically, presenters have submitted what they want to talk about today on the agenda, and we're just going to go down the list with that. So what am I doing? Here we go. Stop share, because I have the agenda over here. Yes, and sorry, I am fumbling through my stuff. Yeah, today we have I don't think we have a lot of things on the agenda, but I do want to introduce, I think first we actually have Nick showing off a lovely deathbeds project. And we also have Pierre, who is going to be showing us notebooks that he uses to teach Python. And I'm really excited to see both, but we're actually going to start off with the shout outs, the short celebrations, which I think Nick has 2 in a row. So if you'd like to say those, Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, am I muted? I'm not muted. Hi, here, I'll turn on my video so people can see me. Cannot detect my camera. I will not turn on my video because I cannot be detected. I'm invisible. Yeah, so I got two quick things there. One is, some folks have been doing a lot of the heavy lifting deep down on the code stack for trying to increase the glaring omissions of concern for folks with different sensory and cognitive abilities that all gets lumped under accessibility and even more lumped under A11Y. It's not just leet speak, it's one of those things. Anyhow, but documentation is important as well, and so Isabella and Tony and some of the other guys, they're like, well, there's something I can do. So if you haven't encountered it, the PyData Sphinx theme is the theme that underpins, well, half of the PyData ecosystem. So Numba, Pandas, Dask, all that, as well as most of Jupyter, and then all of Jupyter Book. Every Jupyter Book site is a PyData Sphinx theme. So I was like, well, let's make some money happen there. And so that PR is open if anybody has any feedback there. But how do we get something to start be better is the idea there. And this idea is haul out Node.js and a headless browser and actually run Sphinx sites through that. And it's generating reports. And there's a way to put stuff on the roadmap and make it, you can't fix everything at once. But sometimes you got to fix 2 things at the same time. So what is an approach that'll help us get there is basically the idea. So that's the first one. The second one is, or is there any questions on that? Thundering silence, cool. There's a chat thing. It says, oh, hi, Damian. The other one is just a little thing that I've been building for a while called Jupyter Starters. Basically, it's like a state machine or something that you fill out a little bit at a time. If you ever use Cookie Cutter, it's a superset of Cookie Cutter. It can do everything that Cookie Cutter can do because it can do Cookie Cutter. But you can also make little guided tours, and you can make things that template notebooks for you and whatever. Anyhow, it's theoretically works outside of Jupyter Lab. There's no UI outside of Jupyter Lab, so basically it only works in Jupyter Lab. And we dropped a new release of that yesterday. It's got some support for some new JSON schema features that make it cooler to write cool things. Yeah, so that's it there. You can check that out, and the binder's fun and all that stuff. Yeah, so those are my 2 quick shouts out to me, yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I also have a quick one. I wanted to thank everyone who gave feedback on the last call because I actually got a couple of responses on that survey. So thank you so much. I did read everything you had to say, and it's appreciated because I'm going to keep figuring out how to make these better. I also, before I forget, I'm going to post a link to the agenda one more time in case anyone else showed up. And please sign in if you get a chance. But other than that, does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? Okay, well, that's still open if people want to add things later on. But for now, I think we'll get started with the main agenda, which brings me back to Nick. If you're ready, take it away.
Yeah, cool. Let me, I was working on my demo tooling, but, you know, I guess I'll do the thing. All right, and Tim George is here. We love some Tim George. I got to pick a screen. Okay, everything is shared. Okay. All right, so WXYZ, if you haven't encountered it before, is a dumping ground is not a nice term, but it is a place where a lot of crazy ideas that we've had about widgets have finally found a place to live. So it's at the bottom of the stack. It has things that work with JSON a little bit more aggressively. So like a Jupyter widget JSON parser, which sounds dumb because it's all made of JSON, but it's actually really handy. Something that un-JSON something, so something that takes an object and turns it into a string. We've got the Lumino data grid. We've got a bunch of stuff that fills out HTML5 things. Some of those were counterfeited by stuff in core, but I like mine better. DVCS is what I'm going to talk about today. That does Git stuff for things. This is really small. It doesn't need to be that small. It's got JSON E. If you've never encountered it, there's a JSON theme here, huh? JSON E is a declarative transformation language that works in a number of different target languages. This one does Python and JavaScript. JSON schema form is a piece of React stuff that you can just kind of delegate your things. That's actually the implementation of that is in Jupyter Lab starters, which is why there was a release, because I want to release this. JSON LD is a way to treat a JSON document as a linked data graph, and it has lots of fun toys in it. WXYZ Lab lets you make widgets that are things that you get in Jupyter Lab, but you can't really program. So like you can have your own dock panel, you can have your own code mirror, you can have a markdown renderer, you can have a terminal. SVG Box lets you lay out widgets on an SVG, like you'd make an Inkscape or Illustrator or something like that. Jinja does Jinja stuff, but also in the browser. And YAML's YAML, whatever. Sorry, I'm kind of shivering. It's actually sort of cold here in Atlanta today. So anyway, let's talk about DVCS. Unless there's any questions that are out there. Nope. Okay. So I started on this quest to replace a bunch of things like Confluence forms and I don't know, other stuff with things that actually track provenance. And provenance is, you know, when things happened, what was known when they happened, what actually happened, stuff like that. You know, so it's Git history is one way to track that. There are other systems out there, but I like Git. I also like Fossil, which I don't have working yet, but I really want to. And so what I was just firing up here is an example of how this works. So I think I got watch. Yeah. All right. So what we're looking at right now, this is built for using with import MB. If you haven't seen that before, that's another Deathbed's jam that lets you use notebooks as modules. So I kind of It's kind of a little weird looking. You know, you'd normally just have all this stuff indented over and whatever, but anyhow, that's not what it does today. So this is a widget. You know, the very simplest thing I could build is a widget. Is this text area box here. You make a repo, which is a not so light wrapper around Git Python. And then you say that you want to track some widget and some of its traits with a particular file in that repo. So the work file is somewhere scrolled off to the end here. There you go, test.json. That's what I'm working on. And then it's got a bunch of tools that I've started working on that are not super pretty, but they're all right. So what status is your repo in? What head are you looking at? What branch are you on? This slider is definitely in progress, but we'll get there. Who committed the thing that you're working on? Anyhow, and you put all of them in a box, and you add some testing stuff, and you get this. So this little widget right here, you know, imagining we went over to Voila Town. This might be the form that you show somebody. You probably wouldn't show them all this stuff, and you give them a box, right? And so you can say, hi, Jupyter, this is the community call for 2020, 12, whatever day, 15. And so while I've been typing over here, it's been updating this file, this test.json on disk. So let's go ahead and commit that. You know, all right, now there's no diff anymore. That's cool. You know what, that was kind of trash. We're gonna roll that back, and now we see that, you know, I've gotten rid of some stuff. And JSON, as we all know, is a terrible format for Git, and I'll talk about that in a sec. But you know, it's not lying. That is what changed, but really you'd want a smaller diff. So let's hit you know, some other stuff here. Okay, so now I've got a couple of time points, and you know, maybe not in the same editing experience. You might look at this someplace else, but I can now jump back and forth on disk to different points in time that it had at some point in time. And all that's getting tracked over in Git, which is, you know, great. Everybody likes Git. So anyhow, that's what the basic one does. I have totally lost myself. Reveal, show in file browser. Yeah, I package my notebooks, so they're really deep in down there. So we did the other thing. It's kind of a weird other demo. I'm not going to turn on the watcher. In fact, I'm just going to close the watcher. So this, if I had two repos on disk, you know, it could be two remotes or whatever. This is A, and then I can fetch from that, and I can merge into that, and now I'm at A over here, and now I can make B. Yeah, okay, and then I can fetch over into here, and I can merge into that, and I got that. Hooray! Super useful. I don't know, but you know, you could ship the state of an interesting widget confection. It can store more than one widget inside of a package, and then let people walk through history, which is kind of fun. And then Git 3. I don't even know what's in here. Oh yeah, this is a good one. So this is Git 3 that uses a whole bunch more WXYZ stuff. So here we got a to-do list that's made out of this stuff. So this is task number 1, and no, well, you know, do this demo. And it's not done yet, but you know, there was make the binder work, and I did do that because that's what we're looking at, so at least that works. Now we're seeing it over here as some status. I can commit those changes. You know, I'm just going to get rid of this thing altogether because I know that that worked, so we can do that. And then if there is any sort of higher power in the world, this will take me back to a state where both this to-do list, which is a nice visual, and the data grid both exist. See, it doesn't really work sometimes. It kind of freaks out and doesn't work. So I'm still fixing that. But you know, theoretically it works, right? Like parts of it work. So I'm working on that. So it's still very work in progress. I got a lot of other things planned. I just finally paid the price to get all of the native all the native selection objects going. I had built one before.
If you're talking, Nick, we're not hearing you. I'm not.
Hopefully you didn't get the
We lost
shivers too bad. Oh no. Well, Nick clearly demoed himself out. Like he
That's
does
your
to all of us.
demolition, right? Yeah.
Yes. This is not a demonstration. This is demolition at this point.
Okay.
No, it'll be heroic when he comes back and finishes it. All right. It's like, how long do you wait for the teacher before class is canceled when we used to see
Right.
people in
Oh,
public?
and that's right. I can stop participant sharing if we need to. I forgot I have power this time.
Maybe Nick's computer got the shivers.
Yeah. Okay.
All righty. Yeah, I think, I'll know. I hope Pierre's getting set up a little bit sooner than he thought he was gonna, huh?
Yeah, how are you doing, Pierre? Would you be
Definitely,
able
yeah.
to take? Okay.
Yeah, I can do my quick presentation right now.
Okay.
No problem.
Sorry, Nick, if you can hear me.
He'll be back. He's fine.
We're gonna
He's
switch
fine.
for a moment, but wait, is he back?
Oh, we see his screen. Yeah, we
Now
can
it's
see his
moving.
screen moving.
Oh wow. Huh.
But it just moved a little and then.
Yeah,
and then stopped again.
maybe we should stop his screen sharing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Okay.
Yeah, good looks.
There we go.
All right. Killing it. Deathbeds is always killing it.
Very, very much in multiple meanings of the word, which is great. That's what we're here for. Okay. Oh.
My network died. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Are you good to keep going then? Perfect.
Where did I stop?
You stopped at, oh gosh.
Was it the one with the, oh, I killed everything. Everything's dead. 1, 2, or 3?
3.
I got to 3? Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. What did it do? I mean, I don't know.
You made a to-do list. Then and get to, you hit a bunch of buttons and you're like, clearly this is useful, and you waved your hands and then bunnies popped up.
Yeah, some things happened. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's yep, there's just buttons to click of multiple remotes on that one. Yeah, this one just kind of does the thing. I don't know. Maybe you want to look at your data in 2 different ways. I don't know. Maybe you don't.
You can share your screen again if you're talking about stuff. Sorry.
Oh,
so
man.
are all of these made of WXYZ widgets? Are they like the schema form things?
Yes. I can't share my screen. There we go. Yeah, so schema form only, like on this one, only this is schema form. I don't have the React sandwich of phosphor inside of React inside of phosphor inside of React, so I can't actually put it right inside of here. You know, I can't have like a table inside of here. So it's kind of, you know, you kind of pick what you're gonna capture where. Yeah, at some point we need a Lumino JSON schema thing that does the stuff. Yeah, what I wanted to highlight real quick was the work that I did to get the existing Lumino data grid stuff working real hot. So this is a data frame, and I can pick some data frame, and that's now showing me a subset of that data frame over there. And you know, the new Lumino stuff, you can use your shift keys and you can use your control keys and you can control shift keys and it doesn't alt anything. Anyhow, but one of the crazy things that it also does multiple selections, which it did not, which I had not taken the time to actually build. So, you know, this thing is pretty much ready for getting the work done. I'm really excited to make this work a lot. Oh, look, if I make it negative, it doesn't work. It doesn't slice. Sweet. Anyhow, that is all. WXYZ. It does things. Hopefully, hopefully, a release out this week.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Nick. Looks great.
Yeah, it is not accessible. None of it is accessible. All of it is broken. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's common, unfortunately, but it's still amazing work. I'm grateful. And I'm grateful that you even realized that too. Realizing it is a big step I've noticed for a lot of projects. So I was curious.
Yeah, I mean, I think the data grid one, that's like tractable, you know. The P5 people have some good examples of how to translate canvas elements into describable content. You know. Anyhow, sorry. Continue.
No, that's good. That's good to know, actually. I'm writing that down, so I look into that later. I wanted to ask, you were talking about you can send people things and walk through the history, which I thought sounded really interesting. Like, do you have anything else to say about that, or what have you used it for? Like, what kind of things have you sent it for, if I can ask?
So we the thing I built it for initially was we had a workshop for and we wanted to ship a bunch of notebooks, but like we wanted slightly more engagement than you get from, okay, now click here, now click here, now click here, and follow this notebook, and then go to this notebook, and then go to this notebook. So we wanted something that was more wizard-like, and that's kind of what stemmed this. It's like, how much have you told me yet? What can you tell me next? And what might happen if that changes? So it's I don't really have that. I don't have a great demo of using that with revision history. It would be more like you'd kind of describe a state machine of, you know, follow these 5 steps, and then, you know, you get something out of that. And that's all built with schema form. So you have one declarative thing that you build, and you can put it in notebook metadata. It's a little crazy, but yeah, just quick stuff like, oh, I got a white paper template for a notebook. You know, what's the name of the? Give me the 5 pieces of information that differentiate this white paper from any other white paper. Boop. You know, here's a bunch of markdown and maybe some, you know, searches and stuff like that you might use. So yeah, that's Jupyter starters.
That's awesome. That sounds extremely helpful. Does anyone else have things they'd like to say about it? This is open to discuss right now.
Yeah, please.
I like using starters on hubs and binders, especially if I'm teaching a class. It's a good way to, it's a nice way to put like icons right on your launcher. At least that's my favorite feature of it.
Yeah, it does launcher, and then it also has a URL hack, so you can dump right into the live thing and encode it as a URL, which, you know, if you've never encountered lab before, that can be kind of infuriating, right? It's like, all right, now I'm at this launcher and there's these files, where do I go now? So I think that's about it. There's no other chats.
Yeah, no, that's good. I was just giving people a chance, not making them feel like we were rushing along, but yeah. Last call. Anyone? Great. Well, thank you so much, Nick. It's always amazing to see just the long list of things that you're always working on. So thank you for sharing today. And I'd like to hand it over to Pierre now, if you're ready. Thank you for sharing today as well. I'm looking forward to it.
I am ready. Hi, everyone. My name is Pierre. I come from France, and This is my first time here at the Jupyter community call, so nice to meet you, everyone. I see familiar faces here, all the people from QuantSight and the Jupyter RTC project. So Zach, Timothy, Tony, Gonzalo, everyone. Thank you, Isabella, of course. And the thing is, so I live in Strasbourg, France, and at the border with Germany, and I am very lucky to be a teacher at the university here. And I teach a class named Algorithmics and Programmation in Python for first-year students. So there are young people who just had their baccalaureate, so the first year at the university, and I've been teaching there for 3 years. And 3 years ago, way before I joined QuantSight, I was already using Jupyter to make my class. So I'm gonna show you how I teach with the Jupyter Jupyter notebooks. So let's share my screen. So you should be seeing my screen, right?
Yep, looks good.
Great. So there are two parts in the teaching sessions. There are the studying sessions and the practicing sessions. During the practicing sessions, I broadcast this. So this is a real notebook from the university, and I broadcast it on a video projector. Is that the right word? Video projector. Okay, projecting on the screen for every of my 40 students can see the content. And the very handy thing is that I can program my whole solution. When we correct the exercises, the questions, I can code my whole correction, the whole answer in front of my students. And this is very handy because they see the process of building a function. They discovered programming for most of them. Only a few already programmed before. So there are lots of things to remember and learn, and a way of thinking that I try to give them. And so by coding the solution in front of them, I can show them, okay, this is very important for the syntax, like def for a function and double points and so on. I can show them how to code a proper loop, a simple for loop. You know, it can be tricky for beginners. And so the content of the notebooks, the notebooks actually were written in LaTeX. And what I really enjoyed is that I just had to convert them into Markdown, and then import the Markdown into notebooks, and just add code cells, and all my notebooks for the semester were done. So in a half day, the time to review the whole semester and so on, in a half day, all my notebooks were ready. So this is a really great tool, and I am not the only one who uses the notebooks now at the university, because when I started converting the LaTeX documents into Jupyter notebooks, I said to my colleague teachers, "Hey, are you interested in having these notebooks? Should I share them? Is there any interest?" And I did, and now most of the teachers are using the notebooks during that class. So and so they also sent me some fixes here and there, some typos, things like that. And it's also very very handy during the practicing sessions as well, because this time they are the ones who really code their solutions by themselves, and I can so I can see their code and see what problems they have, and so I can directly go to my laptop, take again the code, write their write what they had coded with the mistake, and explain them, okay, here is the problem with this variable that has the wrong starting value because you need to go from there to there, and so on. And the practicing sessions are very visual because one of their main goal during the whole semester with the practicing session is to generate a random labyrinth, display it, and also display the way from the entrance to the exit of the labyrinth that they have to find in a recursive way. And so so that's it for the lessons I give at the university. Beside my activity with QuantSight and my activities at the university, I also teach in an engineer school in a curriculum in data science, and in my class. So I wrote the whole class, the whole content of the class, and on the final exercise of this curriculum of Python, data science with Python, I hand over to the students a whole notebook with an exercise that is. You have a data set of flats in Airbnb in one city of France, and you have to analyze how the data are organized, and which neighborhood is the cheapest, which neighborhood is the most expensive, and the distribution of the data. And what is very handy, of course, is that, so you know that, but for the students, it's very, very handy. You can show directly your charts in the notebook, and that's how I introduce them into plotting their data. That's it for that share. So if I brainstorm, I was thinking about, so now that I have joined the Jupyter RTC project, I started thinking on how to use that into my teaching sessions. And so one thing that could be great, but it needs lots of thinking and coding, of course. But one thing that could be great is that if all my students, had on their laptop or on their computer in the practicing session access to the same notebook, that is the lesson. I could, I show the questions, they code the solution in the notebook, and I receive them, and I can validate and send them back a customized correction of their solution, of a code, with specific improvements and advices and comments for what they did. It could be a great way to interact with the code, and specifically because these days, with everyone wearing masks or teaching remotely, it could maybe give a better, as a teacher, it would give me a better grip on my students who are struggling to progress. And so yeah, that's an idea I had. That's it. Thanks for listening to this presentation. And if you have any question about how can we teach with notebooks, or about the university or what we do. On a side note, just thinking, tomorrow and the day after, there will be 2 exams, written exam, practicing exam. And of course, I wrote one of the subjects with a Jupyter notebook and shared it with my colleagues on Google Colab to have comments and do several rounds of improvements and coordinate all the various subjects that we are going to give to the students. So, and I can't show you the subject, of course, because it's still confidential, of course.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful to see. And you do have some comments. I don't know if you saw in the chat for you.
I didn't see them. So, okay, now I see them.
Yeah.
Keeping our assignments, notes, and handouts in Markdown. Of course, that's what I do too. But I haven't used Jupyter so far, so I'm gonna have a look at that definitely. Yes, a teacher view with a grid of students' notebooks would be cool with RTC, definitely. So at the same time, that would let me check instantly who are the students who are a bit late on the global progress of the class at the same time. Did you have experience teaching on boards or projects prior? So my first teaching experience was at the engineer school in the data science curriculum. And right after, by people talking to each other, I was granted the opportunity to teach at the university. It was definitely, yes, notebooks were my first choice. The first thing I thought were, okay, notebooks, that's the best. That's the best. Thanks for asking,
Wow.
Tony.
Yeah. How long have you been teaching?
So yeah, that's actually what I was going to add. I started teaching in June 2018.
Nice. And you've been using about these notebooks, or you probably change them a little as you work, huh?
So on the data science curriculum, I update my my course every year to add improvements and include feedbacks from the students and from the teachers team at the school. And at the university, every year I have to do this process of importing the LaTeX and rebuilding the whole all the notebooks, because the content from one year to another changes much more than my own content. So because they include many more at the university, there are many more teachers and many more considerations, so yeah, much more changes. So every year in late August, beginning of September, that's my my ritual, and that's great. Do you have any tips for converting other professors in other disciplines on Jupyter? Yeah, it's hard to make people change their habits, definitely. Say it in a wonderful French accent. Yes, Tony, I can. So I am trying to hide my French accent, Tony. But for you, Tony, I can have my French accent. I can do everything for you, Tony. So do you have any tips for converting other professors? I think that the best way to make other professors from other disciplines to use Jupyter, I think there are two steps. The first is that they know Markdown, but actually it's quite easy to learn. Reading funny comments, and the other step is to show them that when you do a live, when you give a live solution, when you build it in front of your students, it has much more pedagogic value than just writing on a blackboard or just showing the solution directly. I think that the most important thing is in that situation is to see how in programming at least, is to see how we built the result. I also taught SQL for one semester. Same thing, wrote my whole notebooks, but I could not, I didn't take the time to really have a database behind and executing and showing the results at the same time. It was just static notebooks with Markdown. And so it was difficult to do the live demo at each question. So for other disciplines, like so for mathematics, I think that it's I don't know for mathematics if it can be done, if Jupyter notebooks are relevant to teach mathematics. I don't know. And yeah, it is much more empowering for the students down the road. Definitely. I agree with you, Wayne. Quanticon has a pretty cool cheat sheet. I love cheat sheets.
I was just going to say that. You said Pierre's magic word.
Yes, Tony. Cheat sheets are my magic word.
It's probably good. I think if we have 15 minutes left, it's probably a good time to get over to Jeremy, though. It looks like he signed
Jeremy
up.
is on there. I'm sorry. I didn't see you at the start of the call. Thank you.
Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you for catching that, Tony. And thank you, Pierre, also. That was a wonderful discussion. But yeah, Jeremy, sorry about that.
Thank you.
It's my bad. I did it very last minute, so maybe that's why.
No, you're good. I should be checking it more. So thank you. But yes, take it away. Excited.
Cool. Okay, so let me share right away. So spent some time recently working on a new project called Jupyter Lab Classic, and it's on GitHub. And it looks like this. So it looks like the classic notebook, but it's not the classic notebook. It's a remix of Jupyter Lab. So what you see is pretty much only lab components that are directly used from upstream and just put together in a different way. And the idea is to try to replicate the classic notebook look and feel. So like the interface, you have these files on the page, running tab, but then when you start creating a notebook, it opens in a new tab. So it's a little bit different compared to Jupyter Lab, but yeah, so it lets you do these kind of things. So let me check the example notebook. That would be better, because then there is a narrative. So yeah, so if you want to check it out, there is this binder. Just click on this button and it should work the same as what we're doing now. And yeah, so you get the file and running sessions that we just looked at. And you have like handy links here to go to Jupyter Lab or to go to the tree view if you want to jump there directly. And there is also, yeah, support for editing files. So if I want to edit this the post-bit file, I can open it like this. It looks like in Classic. What else? Yeah, terminals. So if I go here and I click on new terminal, it opens a new terminal. And yeah, so that's the same. And then it shows up here in the running. So I should have, yeah, like this test notebook that we created in the beginning, then this example notebook and the terminal, and then we can stop them from here if we want, just like in Jupyter Lab. There's also the command palette, which comes from Lab as well. So if you go to view an active command palette, you get a lot of commands here. And one of my favorite commands now is the toggle Zen mode, which goes to full screen and only shows the notebook. So if you really want to focus on a notebook or show something to someone over like screen sharing, like right now, I think it's really, really handy. But there are a bunch of other commands that come from all of the different plugins that are part of this application. Then there is also support for themes, because themes are also just plugins in Jupyter Lab. So the dark theme comes by default, which is really cool, and also syncs. So the whole thing syncs with Jupyter Lab. So it means that if you change your theme here, it's going to also be changed in Lab and also in on the other pages. So here is also dark theme, and yeah, another cool thing is that it has support for the new extension system using the federated extension system, also called the pre-built federation extensions. And this one, for example, is something installed locally from source using pip. And it's another theme, so it's pretty useful, because then what happens is that if you go here, So there is another extension that is called the Jupyter Python file. Let me go back to the tree. Now I'll switch back to light mode. So if I do right click, I have only 3 entries here to create something new. But this extension, I can install it with pip. Okay, and now I can reload the page. And this extension brings a new command, which lets you create a new Python file. So if you click on this, then it opens the document and also add some entries here. So you can also create it from here. So it's really leveraging a lot of the work that has been put in Jupyter Lab recently, especially with 3.0. So all of this is built on top of the latest RC. So it's very cutting edge, but it seems to be working pretty well. And yeah, something that people really like is to be able to rename their notebook from here. So it also has support for this. So you can do this, and then it shows up, I think, in the list here. If we refresh, yeah, you can also open the notebook from here if you want. Yeah. So well, that's a lot. Yeah, and then there is also support for widgets, because widgets are also just an extension like any others, and then the things we are used to in a notebook. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, if you switch kernels, there's this little indicator there, just like in Classic. But the goal is not to really have 100% something that looks 100% like, or trying to build something that is almost the same, but using the modern components. Yeah, so that's it for the demo. Yeah, and I forgot to say it's pre-released, so you can install it on using pip. And yeah, it will also install Jupyter Lab if you don't have it already.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing. And you do have a few questions in there. I think the main one from Tony.
What?
Right? No?
Work again.
No, you won't have to answer that.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was a question.
That it works. I just got so nostalgic for writing CoffeeScript and JavaScript in notebooks.
Well, I think the answer that's going to apply to almost all of the questions for Jupyter Lab Classic is that if it works in Jupyter Lab, it works in Jupyter Lab Classic. So I think if there is an extension that lets you do this in Jupyter Lab, then you can install it and it will be picked up. So that's just the most convenient way to have the extension work in both environments.
Very cool. It's a killer demo, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Nick also asked, what's the memory hit like with Multitab? I'm thinking that's a serious question then, but I could be messing up again.
Memory on what level in the browser?
So, yeah, if you open up your Chrome, I mean, are you pulling 200 megabytes per tab?
No, so it pulls approximately the same amount of data as in Jupyter Lab if you're talking about the size of the bundle.
No, I'm talking about like so in Classic, you know, you're paying for Font Awesome and Bootstrap and like the Preact shim and whatever. So you could have 50 of them open and be fine. But I have this feeling that if you open, you know, more than a couple tabs, I mean, that's going to stress a non-developer machine because Lab just has a very high idle memory consumption.
Yeah, it's possible. I haven't profiled it, but I think it should be possible to get some metrics on this. But it might also depend on the types of plugins that are loaded on the page, right? Because with this Jupyter Lab Classic, not all the plugins are on the page are actually live. It really depends on whether you are looking at the tree or looking at the notebook. But it's true that the notebook page brings quite a lot of them. So I think this one could be heavy. That's for sure.
Yeah, that'd be my only other. I mean, I don't know. We've talked about Service Worker. That would be amazing if all of those actually, if all the you know nuts and bolts of like Contents Manager and stuff were actually a shared Service Worker Contents Manager. Oh my God! I mean, that'd be brilliant, right? Yeah. And then the other thing, what's the rough order of magnitude on doing this customization? Because, you know, yeah, there's something to be said for getting something that looks just like Classic, but it brings over all the problems with Classic, which is that we brought them in the lab of like, you know, an n-layer nested top level menu is still not a way to discover something that's down in the 7th submenu, right? And taking up 20% of your vertical space with that top bar and the button. And you know, Zen mode's nice, right? That's an important step. I want Zen mode and still be able to do stuff, right? Those are I know those are design things that they got nothing, you know.
If you're talking about the amount of space taken by the interface in general, or something else.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of websites that are trying to act. I mean, Lab is worse, right? You've got, all right, I got a layer of a header with some branding, and then a huge gulf of white space, and then some stuff,
Okay.
and then I got a menu bar, and then a huge gulf of white space, and then I've got a button bar, and then I got a huge gulf of white space, and then I've got some offset, and then I've got a huge gulf of white space, and then I get to my stuff, right?
Yeah. So one thing that this thing adds, and there was this this was definitely taken into consideration, because I also struggle with this sometimes, like the lack of space. But at least there is a way to toggle this header. And the other thing is that on mobile, it's quite compact. So now it looks like this. So you don't have anything on the left and right. You only have this menu just to be able to escape from it if you want, and also be able to show the header if you would like to. So this is automatically set into this mode when it's more like of a mobile layout, and then it goes back to normal on desktop. So yeah.
And then the other one is just fat. Like if you're doing a big graph, I don't want those giant gray gutters on the sides, right? Like that's left over from the Bootstrap hangover. Everything is 960 pixels, and that's the way it always should be. You know, having a button that just took all that space would make this a lot more useful for, you know, engineering stuff where you've got a lot of junk on the page.
Yeah, but I would say like this could almost be tweaked with an extension, because then the extension could let you configure some parts of the layout. One thing I wanted to mention is the structure of this is a lot like Lab, but it removed a lot of the complexity related to the way extensions are installed, at least with 2.x. So it only keeps the federated extensions part, which is much simpler. But in terms of code, it's not that much. So you only have like a couple of extra extensions that add those little items on the UI. And the rest is just coming from Lab. So just reusing the plugins as is, so without doing any modification to them. So it's mostly a remix, and the idea was to also give some ideas to anyone who would like to recreate their own lab from scratch if they want to. Of course, you need to know a little bit of like how to put things together, but hopefully with this kind of examples, at least people they know where to start, even if it means just forking or cloning the repo, and then they could just tweak or add their own extensions. Like the best would be just to have like a WYSIWYG way of building your own UI. That would be really nice.
Yeah, I think we could get there. I mean, you know, if there was a declarative schema for what is my lab, right, and that is what you shipped. You know, I mean, really, we just need a little bit metadata about, you know, what signals does this widget have, what commands does this widget have, and what, I guess it'd be what signals does the extension have, what signals does the widget have, what commands does the extension accept. That would be gorgeous, you know.
Yeah. and also know where the widgets are placed, like, because it's also using the kind of the same concept of the main, top, left, and right areas. Yeah, to know where extensions can put their widgets.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful demo too. And I'm really glad that you came to share that, because I was going to ask you to next time, actually, when I didn't see you on the agenda at the start of this one. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So there's two things here that I think really deserve to be called out as awesome. One is just that there is, as Carol says in the chat, there is a need for a simple application that does this, not just a simple mode in a complex application. So one way of getting that might be to add like a new command that would launch lab in a simple mode like this, but also just the existence of this is both a proof of concept that the building blocks in JupyterLab can be used this way, and also just a really nice application for people to use who want not very much disruption in the way they've been using it, but to have the simplified interface. And yeah, it's awesome. Thank you for building it.
I feel like with a demo like that, you can show up late to any meeting and be like, here's my demo. Make room for me. That's such a good demo. Thanks, Jeremy.
Jeremy, you know how I feel. It's fantastic. It made my Jupyter day yesterday and today.
And the rest of the week. Yeah. Yeah, so it's still in RC. I think it's going to follow the same schedule as the Jupyter Lab. But then if there is really an interest in getting this to a more official state, I'm really happy to also, like, I don't know, maybe move it to a different organization. If that can help also bring some people on board and into making this even better.
Great. Well, I know we're at time, so just in case you missed it in the chat, if anyone needs to leave, feel free to. But I also want to leave a little more time. Like, anyone else have more comments for Jeremy? Great. Well, thank you so much. Oh, go on,
Ooh,
Zach.
I have a question. Yeah. Hey, Jeremy. Awesome demo, man. Just a quick question. How does it handle extensions that might try to, say I write a JupyterLab extension that tries to touch like one of the panels in JupyterLab that don't show up in classic JupyterLab? How does it, will that extension work in classic and find a place for it? Or does it throw errors? Or, because we found that we kind of did a similar project with interns a couple of summers ago. And the hardest part was getting third-party extensions to turn on and off at the right times, because people really wanted to port their classic notebook extensions that did all these JavaScript hacks and HTML hacks in the classic notebook. They wanted to port them over to JupyterLab, but still have them working in notebook, and that was not possible because of having to support basically two wildly different JavaScript packages. But this seems like you start to bring them together, and maybe we could write an extension that operates in both interfaces where classic just
no, I think that Nick's reaction is correct, but also Jeremy's proof of concept here is that unmodified JupyterLab extensions work in JupyterLab Classic. He's building another Jupyter front-end application that hosts the unmodified JupyterLab extensions inside it. However, if you really had, say, a legacy extension that you don't really plan to rewrite, but you do need for it to work, I've seen people take a halfway route where they will make a new version of that old extension that is hosted within an iframe. It's not great. It only works for some things, but because it's your own iframe, you can inject JavaScript if you need or whatever. It isn't really a good answer, but it is appropriate for some class of extensions sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, to iterate on this, yeah, it really reuses the same extension system as in Jupyter Lab. So there is only one way of making extensions, is making a Jupyter Lab extension. And if you try to add something to a left or right area, they don't exist in Jupyter Classic. So it's a no-op, nothing happens. We could throw an error maybe, but otherwise it would be the responsibility of the extension author to, for example, add it to the left if it exists, or by using the lab shell token. And if not, then either don't add it or add it in different parts of the UI, for example, if it's on the Jupyter Classic. Yeah, that would be, I think, the best way to handle this.
Great. Anyone else? Well, oh, fantastic. Zach.
Yeah, right. Zach's opinions are valid. Zach, we love you. I can't believe everybody just got away with doing that to Zach.
I'm sorry, man. I have to deal with that kind of stuff at work. I can't deal. It's, you know, going from like rando jQuery, put stuff wherever. Man, I don't want that anywhere near my.
You know, we just lovingly said no. There was no, there's no malice behind that no. just firmness.
Okay, well, fantastic. I'm glad we had such good discussions on all our presentations today too. That, I don't know, that made me really happy. So great work, community. Woo! If there's not any last comments, I'm going to wrap it up then. This is your
When's the
chance.
next one?
I'm getting there, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, though. Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, taking the time, whether you were presenting with us today or attending for other reasons. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this. And yeah, I'm really glad that you're all part of the community and that we have people from different places, right? Like Simon mentioned at the beginning, being from the Jupyter Hub, trying to get more of those people involved. So thank you. If you have any feedback, I did post a link there. You don't have to, it's just a few questions about technical and content and how you felt about that. Our next community call is actually January 26th. We'll be back to the end, like the final Tuesday of the month, as planned. So that would be great. I do also have the agenda for that if you want to sign up, like if you're just really ready to share something next month. That's right here. And yeah, please feel free to share. In case you saw today, we're taking all types of comments, so content, so no pressure on having, like, I don't know, some people are like a perfectly polished demo. You don't need that at all. So thank you so much. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next month in the new year. I hope the rest of your years go as well as they can.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. Happy holidays.
Bye, everyone.